Hi, I'm Sarah Stoked with Stoked on Mushing, and I'm going to be covering the 2017 Iditarod from the comfort of the East Coast out of Alaska. This is the first Iditarod I will not be actively kind of helping with in some shape or form. So I'm really looking forward to watching the teams that are in the race this year participate from a purely kind of fan standpoint and from a very analytical standpoint. I think the Fairbanks route is going to create some an interesting dynamic for the race, as you know, the trail is always a huge player. You know, we've got the trail, we've got the weather, and then we have, you know, the teams themselves. And so the trail and the weather do play a pretty significant role in you know, which team ultimately ends up on top, or, you know, whether each team has the performance they would like to have in the race. One thing that I think is pretty cool about the Fairbanks route, although is kind of hard when you're a musher or a dog traveling the trail, is that it is a lot flatter. So the flatter course does kind of, it plays a role in things. You don't need those big strong dogs that you might need to get you up over the Alaska range, and I think you can rely on a smaller team, a smaller dog, to have a pretty, you know, equal performance. All things considered, I think a medium build dog is, I mean, from my standpoint, that's what I usually like, is a medium, you know, a medium built, not too big, not too small. But there are a lot of competitive mushers who have really big dogs, and then there are some competitive mushers who have smaller dogs, like Ali Zirkle and Wade Mars are known for kind of having smaller smaller dogs and more females on their team. So I think that it's a little flatter, like total great thing for those teams. I'm not really rooting for any one team in particular. I'm a pretty big fan of Wade. He's a good friend, so obviously I'd like to see him do well. I'd also like to see, you know, Jessie Royer do well. I think she's a really talented female musher, and Ali Zirkle, of course, she's just awesome. I mean, everybody loves Ali. You know, I think it'd be cool to see Dallas come away with a 5th win, and I don't think that's entirely out of the question. He obviously is constantly trying to innovate and come up with some, you know, new things to keep him on top. I'd like to see, you know, I just like to see how it all shakes out. I think, you know, there are a lot of really great teams, as there are every year, and you never really know what's going to happen until you get out on the trail. You know, it's important to remember that everybody who is starting this race, they may be starting it on, you know, Monday morning, but they've been training for it since at least September. Some mushers, you know, beyond that. These dogs, for all intents and purposes, you know, this race started when they were bred. So for a lot of people, it's not just the fruition of this year's training, but also the fruition of many years of hard work. So each race kind of brings that to light. So I think it'll be a pretty interesting year. You know, some people have had some pretty strong success with their breeding programs. I'm really interested to see how Yor will do this year. His puppy team was phenomenal in last year's race. I got to kind of run with them a little bit with Miriam. And so, you know, he'll obviously be bringing some of those younger dogs up this year. And, you know, that's always an advantage. People like Dallas, Mitch, Ali, they all have people who are running their younger dogs. You know, Wade, he had some his dogs were with Noah last year. Noah I'm totally butchering his name. Pereira. Sorry, Noah. So, you know, everybody has, you know, if you're looking for that top 10 spot, you know, top 5, you have a program in place to get your dogs the experience they need to be there. Being competitive, winning, those aren't things that happen because of luck. They aren't things that happen on their own. Those are things that are the result of a carefully executed plan. not only in terms of on-trail strategy, but also in terms of the kennel breeding program. And beyond the breeding program, the puppy program. How are those puppies raised? What are they done? What do they experience? And then that whole process of bringing those puppies from a young age then up into the main team. That's a huge and very important factor in success. So a lot of these top 10 mushers, you know, they do have that in place, and so it should be pretty interesting. I think one musher I'd be really excited about this year with the particular course is Jeff King. He's got really fast dogs. He does a lot of training on the Denali Highway, which is hilly, but is also very flat and river-like, and, you know, kind of riverish like conditions, I should say. And I think this trail will really suit his dog team. So I think he'll, you know, I think that number 5 for him is also not out of the question. So I think it could be it will be a very interesting race, and I can't wait to see what happens. What are your thoughts? You know, comment, like, share, you know, whatever.